Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. Children, let's go to a new lesson in Scholarship English for Standard 8th. And the lesson that we are going to do today is lesson number 3.4 from your scholarship syllabus, that is clauses. Now children, we have talked about modal auxiliary in the previous lesson. We talked about tenses, we talked about parts of speech. Okay, that means we are doing lessons based on language study. And in this lesson, clauses, we are going to understand what clause is and how it is part of a sentence and what are the different types of clauses, how you can identify clauses, etc. Now actually if you go to see, this is a very long lesson. Okay, when you talk about clauses, we have two types of clauses, that is independent and dependent, and when you talk about dependent clauses, then there are many more types. Okay, we have noun clauses, adjective clauses, adverb clauses. When we talk about adverb clauses again, then there are so many different kinds of adverb clauses also. So the portion here, the topic is a little exhaustive, but what we will do is, we will try to pick up the main points and discuss them and look at it from the point of view of the scholarship exam. Alright, so we will try and make it comprehensive. That is, we will try and make it in a nutshell. We cover everything at the same time. We do not take too much time also. So come on, let's move quickly to our lesson for today, 3.4 clauses. So what are clauses, children? A clause is a group of words which contains a subject and a predicate. So it is a group of words. Okay, like you say phrase. Now a phrase is a little different from a clause. A phrase means simply a group of words, but a clause is that group of words which contains a subject and a predicate. Okay, now when we talk about clauses, you will see that some sentences contain only one clause, while some sentences contain more than one clause. So I told you we are going to learn, or we are going to talk about types of clauses also. So there are certain sentences which contain only one clause, whereas certain other sentences might contain more than one clause, sometimes two, sometimes three, depending on the length of the sentence. Okay, so what are the types of clauses, children? There are two main kinds of clauses, the main or the independent clause, and you have the subordinate or the dependent clause. So either it is independent and dependent, or you can call it as main and subordinate. Okay, so what is main? Main means something which is very important. Alright, and then what is subordinate? Subordinate means something which is a little below the main in rank. Now independent means something which has got its own personality, existence, meaning, etc. And dependent means something which does not have its own identity or personality or meaning. Alright, so clauses can be dependent or they can be independent. They can be the main clause or it could be the subordinate clause. Now when you talk about subordinate clauses, again we have three types. We have the noun clause, the adjective clause, and the adverb clause. So these are the three kinds of subordinate or dependent clauses: the noun clause, the adjective clause, and the adverb clause. Alright, now when we talk about adverb clause, like I just told you, we have so many different types of adverb clauses also. We have adverb clause of time, of place, of purpose, of cause, condition, etc. Now when we look at the example sentences, you will understand them better. So in short, what are the types of clauses? These are the 5 main types of clauses. Apart from this, we will also be talking about coordinate clauses. Okay? Now, coordinate clauses is a little different concept altogether. It is a different angle of looking at clauses. That also we will see in this lesson today. Alright, so now types of clauses is done. We took a quick look at types of clauses. Now, let's take a detailed look at what is the meaning of an independent clause or a main clause, or sometimes it is also called as the principal clause. Like I told you, it is the most important one. That is why it is main. It is principal, and also it has got the characteristic that it is independent. Okay. Now, what is the definition of an independent clause? Now see, you have to just keep in mind that independent, main and principal have all got the same meaning. Okay, and you can use any one word according to your, you can say whatever you can remember according to your convenience. You can either remember independent or you can remember main. Now, what is an independent clause? An independent clause or a main clause, it expresses a complete thought. It is independent, isn't it? So it doesn't have to depend on other words. So whatever words are there in that particular clause, it has got complete meaning. So an independent clause expresses a complete thought. Then it can stand by itself as a sentence. It is independent, so it is not dependent on anyone else. So it can stand. It has got its own identity. It can stand by itself. And the third is, it has both a subject and a verb. So a verb means a predicate. Okay. So independent clauses or main clauses, they have a subject as well as a predicate, or subject and a verb. Okay. So this is the meaning of an independent clause or main clause. Now, let us take a look at some examples of independent clauses. So here you have the sentence, she was happy. So see, she is the subject, was happy is the predicate. Okay, where was is the verb. Second, he drew a snowflake. Complete meaning, what did he do? He drew a snowflake. So it is an independent clause. Then you have, my cat likes to play. What likes to play? My cat likes to play. My cat, the subject, likes to play, the predicate. Then you have the sentence, she napped peacefully. That is, she slept peacefully. Complete meaning you are getting from this, isn't it? It is not dependent on anything else for its meaning. So this is an example of independent clause. Then you have, she napped, which is again an example of an independent clause. Now, this has got just 2 words, alright? But independent clauses do not need to have long, it need not be long. It need not have too many words also. Now this last one, like I told you, it has got just how many words? Just 2 words. That is also a complete sentence. It has also got a complete meaning, and it has got a complete thought. It has got a subject, it has got a verb. Okay, so even this is an example of an independent clause. Alright, and you also know, when we talk about types of sentences, independent clauses are also called as simple sentences, isn't it? A simple sentence is an independent clause. So that we will talk about when we discuss types of sentences, but this is just, I'm trying to link the ideas. Okay, so these are all examples of independent clauses, and you now understand by looking at these sentences how they express complete meaning. Okay, let's move on and let's look at the next kind of clauses, that is dependent clauses. So now what are dependent clauses? Dependent clauses contain a subject and a verb, of course. That is why they are called clauses, otherwise they would have been called phrases. But they do not express a complete thought. So dependent clauses will not express a complete thought. It is always dependent on something else. Okay? Then you will see that dependent clauses means incomplete thought. Okay? Let us look at a dependent clause is not a complete sentence. Remember, a dependent clause always needs an independent clause to become a complete sentence. Alright? The following words in purple are called as dependent markers that we will see in the next part. Alright? Now let's take a look at the examples of dependent clauses. So see here the sentence, Celia searched for the rabbit. Okay, just now I told you a dependent clause is also called as a simple sentence. So this is a simple sentence. Celia searched for the rabbit. That means it is an independent clause. Let us see how you can add clauses to it and how that added clause becomes a dependent clause or it becomes a subordinate clause. So this much part of a sentence is the main clause, alright, as well as it is a simple sentence also. Look at this now. Celia searched for the rabbit is still there. Okay, so the main clause is there. There are some words which are added to the main clause before it. So a subordinate clause is added before the main clause. So what is the subordinate clause? Despite the wind and rain, and then there is a comma, Celia searched for the rabbit. So now you see how Celia searched for the rabbit still has got complete meaning, but if I just show you the words despite the wind and rain, what meaning does it have? Does it have any meaning? Despite the wind and rain, you will say what? Despite the wind and rain, what happened? Okay, so that is why it is called as a subordinate clause, because it does not have a complete meaning of its own. One more example we will see where subordinate clause is added after the main clause. So see here, Celia searched for the rabbit, comma, despite having to battle against the wind and rain. Now in this case, the subordinate clause comes after the main clause. Celia searched for the rabbit. So we have kept the same main clause and we have added a subordinate clause once before the main clause and once after the main clause. But we can still see that the sentence, meaning of the sentence is not changing. Okay, whether you add the subordinate clause before it or you add the subordinate clause after the main clause, meaning will not change. And we saw how the dependent clause needs an independent clause. It needs a main clause, whereas a main clause, it does not need a dependent clause. Without the dependent clause also, the main clause has got enough meaning. Alright, so this is what dependent clauses are. Now we will see one more example. See, while she slept, Lucy snored. Okay, so Lucy snored is the main clause. When did she snore? While she slept. So here, Lucy snored is, you cannot write a sentence without the main clause. So the main clause is saying you cannot write while she slept only. You have to write Lucy snored. Alright. Whereas the subordinate clause is saying I need you, main clause. That is, I cannot make sense without you, O main clause. So now you understood what is the meaning of dependent clause and independent clause, or in other words, in this case we've called it main clause and subordinate clause, and what is the relationship that they share. Alright, now we will move on and we will talk about the various types of subordinate clauses. I told you subordinate clauses are of various types, three main types. Which are the three main types I told you? Yes, we have noun clauses, adverb clauses and adjective clauses. And adverb clauses also we have some more types. So come on, let's start by understanding in short what they are. So what is an adjective clause, children? It is a subordinate clause which is used as an adjective. And what is an adjective used for? An adjective gives you more information about the noun or the pronoun. So in the same way, the adjective clause will also give you more information about the noun and the pronoun. What about the adverb clause? Now the adverb clause is also a subordinate clause which is used as an adverb. And what does the adverb do? The adverb also
modifies the adjective, or sometimes it modifies a verb, or sometimes it modifies another adverb. Okay, so an adverb clause acts like a adverb, and a noun clause is sometimes used as a noun. It is used in place of a noun. So instead of saying using a single word noun, a group of words or a clause is used instead of the noun. Alright, so this in short is the meaning of the various types of clauses. Alright children, now we will take a detailed look at each of them and we look at some examples too. So adjective clauses, let us see. The adjective clause is used to modify a noun or a pronoun. And what do? Their job is the same. What job does the adjective do? The adjective describes the noun or the pronoun. So the adjective clause does exactly the same thing. Okay? The adjective clause is a dependent clause. We know that it is a dependent clause. Now it will begin with a relative pronoun, who, whose, whom, which and that, and sometimes with a coordinator or the conjunction when, where and since. Okay? Now these keywords with which the adjective clause begins, with which the noun clause begins, with which the adverb clause begins, I will show it to you again in this same video. Okay, but for now you understand that adjective clause is used to modify a noun or a pronoun, and it is a dependent clause. Okay, let us take some look at some examples. See, the cake that was bought was delicious. So here the cake is the noun, and we are talking more about the noun, that is the cake. Okay, then that she bought. Which cake? The cake that she bought. Alright, now the people who lived next door are good neighbors. So the people is the noun here, and who live next door is the adjective clause. It's telling us more about the people. Which people are good neighbors? The people who live next door. The game which was played yesterday ended in a tie. So we are talking about a particular game. So the game is the noun here. So which game ended in a tie? Not the game which was played day before yesterday, not the game which was played last month, but the game which was played yesterday ended in a tie. I visited the town where they met. So which place did you visit? The town. Which town? Where they met. Okay, so you specify. The leaders whom we elected will commence the work next week. Who will commence the work next week? The leaders. Which leaders? The ones whom we elected. Do you know the woman whose picture is in the magazine? So we are talking about a woman here, which is a noun here. Which woman are we talking about? The one whose picture is there in the magazine. She will always remember the day when the accident happened. Which day she will remember? The day the accident happened. So you see how these group of words or how these clauses are telling you more about the noun. And you can also see the words with which the adjective clause starts. It is words like that, who, which, where, whom, whose and when. Okay, so these are all the various examples of clauses, that is adjective clauses in specific. We will now go to the adverb clauses, the next kind of clause, that is the adverb clause. Here we have the adverb clause. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective or another adverb. So there are certain clauses which modify not the noun, but it modifies the verb. Sometimes it modifies the adjective and sometimes the other adverb also. Okay, so there are adverbs which can describe adverbs or which can talk about another adverb. So an adverb clause also acts or it modifies a verb, an adjective or another adverb. Let's take a look at the, you can say, keywords. It begins with a subordinate conjunction and it tells you how, when, where, why or to what extent. So this how, when, where, why or to what extent are the types of adverb clauses. Okay, and look at these examples. If Sam calls, Please tell him that I will be late. Alright. So if Sam calls you, then tell him that I will be late. So you're telling him why, how, where, why, what extent. Okay. We played in the garden until the sun set. So we played in the garden. Till when did we play in the garden? It's talking about the verb. Until the sun set. So we're talking about a time. Okay. Though she was busy, Alice helped the young boy. So Alice helped the young boy. But there was a condition, there was a concession. She was busy. In spite of that, she helped the young boy. Manner. Okay. John went home after he finished his lunch. So he went home. That is a verb there. But when did he go home? It modifies the verb. After he finished his lunch. So these are all the adverb clauses. Now these are the different types of adverb clauses. Time, place, cause, condition, result, purpose, comparison, contrast, manner, etc. Okay, see, these are all the different types of adverb clauses. And you also have, when there is adverb clause of time, then you will have words like before, after, when, while, till, etc. in the sentence. When there is adverb clause of place, you will have words like where, wherever, whence, etc. and so on. So what do I want you to do? We will pause the video here and read all these words and these keywords carefully. Okay, so this is about adverb clauses. Coming to the last kind of clause that we are going to talk about today is noun clauses. Now, as the name suggests, noun clause means what? Clauses which function as nouns or which take the place of a noun. Here, remember, it is not modifying, it is not giving you more information, but it is replacing the noun. It is taking the place of the noun. That is, they are word groups with their own subject and verb that in turn function as a subject, object or complement in a sentence. Alright, so this is the meaning of noun clauses. Noun clause means it acts as the noun. Okay, a group of words or you can say a clause which acts as a noun is called as a noun clause. Alright, so come on, let us now move on and look at some examples of noun clauses. So what we do in class is easy. So what do you do in class actually? You study, isn't it? So see the words what we do in class has replaced the word studying. Okay, so it is a noun clause. Where he works is a secret. So where he works stands for a place here. That is a secret. So where he works is a noun clause. The same way, I don't know what you should do. Sue knows who they are. Who they are means their names. She knows what happened. Alright. So all these are examples of noun clauses. What we do in class, where he works, what you should do, who they are, what happened. These are all examples of noun clauses. Alright. Now let us look at the keywords with which adjective clauses begin. So we have who, whom, which, that, whose, when, where. Adjective clauses commonly begin with these keywords. Then let's look at the keywords for adverb clauses. You have a lot many. You have a bigger list here. So you have after, although, as if, as long as soon as, because, before, and then you can read the remaining. Okay? And these are the keywords that introduce noun clauses. You have who, whom, whose, which, and you have forms of ever also. Whoever, whenever, whatever, wherever, etc. So this, children, in short, was the different kinds of clauses. Now I told you that we have one more concept to learn in this lesson, that is coordinate clauses. So let us see what the meaning of coordinate clauses are. Now some sentences, they might contain two or more clauses which are joined together using a coordinate conjunction like and, but, or, etc. So each of these clauses which are joined together using a conjunction like and, but, or is a coordinate clause. Alright. Now each of these clauses contain a subject of its own and it makes complete sense also, and each of them is therefore an independent clause also. Alright, they can be independent clause. Most of the time they're independent clauses. Alright, so this is the meaning of a coordinate clause. Now let's take a look at some examples. So see here, she wrote a letter and she posted it. So she wrote a letter is the coordinate clause. She posted it is one more coordinate clause, and then we have and, which is the coordinating conjunction which is used. Okay, let me show you one more example. See, the plan looks easy, but it is difficult to implement. So the plan looks easy is one coordinate clause. It is difficult to implement is one more coordinate clause which has been joined together with the word but. Alright, now we are not analyzing whether both these are independent or dependent or whatever, but we are just trying to understand what is the meaning of coordinate clause. Alright children, so this was about coordinate clauses. We also talked about dependent clauses, the three different kinds of dependent clauses. We also understood what are independent clauses. Now let us move on and do what we do always. Let us take a look at the question paper patterns. Okay, so basically you have three patterns of questions here. Identify the underlined subordinate clause. Then you have identify the type of clause in the following sentence. And finally you have identify the sentence that contains the given clause. So these are the three different kind of question patterns which can be asked based on clauses. Okay, let us now move on and do the final part of our video, that is we will try and solve a few examples from each of these patterns. So pattern 1, here goes. Question 1, I die that my country may live. Now let us look at the options. So that my country may live, is it a noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause, or none of these? Which one is it? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes, it is the third one. I die. Why? Dying here is the verb. Why will I die? So that my country may live. So it is an adverb clause. Okay, moving on to question number 2. Life is what we make it. So now what is this what we make it? It is, yes, correct, a noun clause. Why? Because life is joyous, life is sad, life is happy. So whatever you want you can write here, isn't it? So that becomes a noun then. So that is why this is a noun clause. So your answer is option number 1. Example number 3. Unless it stops raining, we can't leave. Okay, again here we are talking about a verb, about leaving. So which one do you think is the right answer? Is it noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause, or none of these? It is an adverb clause. We are talking about leaving. We want to leave but we can't. Why? Because it should stop raining. Okay, so unless it stops raining is an example of an adverb clause. Coming to the fourth sentence, the child whose job was lost was crying. So here we are talking a little bit more about the child. Which child was crying? Whose job was lost. So what are we doing? We are talking a little bit more about the noun. We are modifying the noun. So it is acting like an adjective. So it is an adjective clause. Option number 2. Coming to the last example here in this particular pattern. I heard the news and I wish to congratulate you. So observe the sentence carefully. You have two different sentences here. Both of them have meanings. Both of them have a subject and a predicate, and they are joined together with a conjunction. So which might this be? It will be example number 1, coordinate clause. So I heard the news and I wish to congratulate you. Okay, so this was the first pattern for you. Let us now go to pattern 2. Here it is. Identify the type of adverb clause in the following sentence. Here is a sentence. The gypsy roams wherever he pleases. So is it adverb, clause of time, place, manner or reason? So when you say wherever, it indicates place. So it is adverb, clause of place. Coming to the seventh one. There was silence when the principal spoke. So when I say when, naturally, I'm talking about, yes, time. So it is adverb, clause of time. Now children, I do not want you to look at the answers very easily, okay? So I want you to always pause the question after seeing all the options and then guess the answer yourself. Alright? Come on, let's go to the next one. If you don't like it, I'll take it back. So if you don't like it, I'll take it back. So why will I take it back? I will take it back only the reason should be that you should not like it. So it is adverb, clause of reason. Answer number 4. Okay? Reason. Why will I take it back? If you don't like it, I will take it back. Then coming to the 9th one, write as I told you. So I'm telling you a particular way in which you're supposed to write. You're not supposed to write in whichever way you wish to, but you're supposed to write in the manner that I want you to write. So it is option number 4, adverb, clause of manner. And the last one will be, I like her though no one else does. So here, I like her, okay, but no one else likes her. That means I am making a kind of a exception, you can say. But since exception is not there here, we will go with concession. I am giving the concession to her that I like her, but no one else likes her. No one else wants to give her that concession. Okay, so this was the last question in pattern 2. Let us move on to pattern 3 now. Identify the sentence that contains the given clause. Noun clause. So here are the 4 sentences for you. So which one is got a noun clause in it? Mumbai is a city where 1 billion people live. Mumbai is polluted because it is a large city. We were told that Mumbai was a large city. We went to Mumbai to see the gateway of India. So which one has got a noun clause in it? The first one doesn't seem to have a noun clause. The second one also doesn't seem to have a noun clause. But the third one, yes. We were told that Mumbai was a large city, has got a noun clause in it. So it is a third one which is the right answer. Moving to question number 12. You have to now identify the sentence which has got an adverb clause in it. Let me read the sentences for you. The house that I live belongs to my father. The umbrella which has a broken handle is mine. You may sit wherever you like. I expect that I shall get a prize. So which one is the adverb clause? It is the first one. The house that I live in belongs to my father. Okay, so that is the adverb clause. Now if you look carefully, you will find one more option which is an adverb clause in it. That is the third one. Okay, but we'll just mark one here. Coming to the second last question in this video, adjective clause. You have to identify which sentence contains an adjective clause. No one knows how old she is. Someone stole the jewels that were in the safe. What you said is true or not true. We arrived after the show had begun. So here now, which one contains an adjective clause? Where is a group of words working or acting like an adjective here in this particular sentence? Let us see. So it is sentence number 2. Someone stole the jewels that were in the safe. Okay, so we are talking about the jewels here. Coming to the last example, you have to identify the adverb clause in the sentence. Here are the sentences. So which sentence contains an adverb clause? The people whom I mentioned are very poor. My hope is that your health improves. The bridge which fell was built last year. If you play in the rain, you will fall ill. So in which one of these sentences will you find an adverb clause? Yes, it will be the last one. If you play in the rain, you will fall sick or you will fall ill. Alright, so children, this was a rather long lesson based on clauses. What all did you do in this lesson? We looked at what the meaning of clauses are. We also saw the two types of clauses, the dependent and the independent. And we also looked at subordinate clauses, the three types of subordinate clauses, and the various types of adverb clauses. We also talked about coordinate clauses and solved many examples based on the questions which might be asked. Okay, so please watch this entire video and try to complete the tasks also that I have set.
So children, now you have watched the video. So after you watch the video now, you will have to complete a few simple tasks. Now you might have watched the video on your computers or your laptops or your mobile phones. Now after you watch the video, what will you do? You will please go to the description box which is given below the video. So what is the description box? See, the description box looks like this. Alright, and after you go to the description box, you will see that there are a few questions there. Now what are these questions about? These questions are about the lesson that we just learned or the video that you just watched. So what will you do? You will think back properly about the lesson and you will try and answer these questions and note down the answers in your notebook if you want. Okay? After that, we have another task waiting. You will also click on the link which you will find in the description box to fill up the Google form. So now what is the Google form, children? It is nothing but a simple form. There are a few simple questions there about the video which you just saw and also about yourself. So these are the tasks now that you will have to complete after you watch each video. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learned a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.